Today in this video, I'm going to be going over who's the free 5-star you should select once you reach the requirement that is needed for you to be able to pull that 5-star unit. But before we get into that, guys, I'd appreciate if you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like the video, and share this around. Alright guys, so I've made a reroll guide on the beginner banner, which is this banner right here, and it includes all the 7 characters that you will be able to pull in the free 5-star selector that I showed you guys earlier on. But the difference is in this one, you can go ahead and pull yourself a guaranteed 5-star, but it will be random and it will be within 40 pulls, right? And this is what they would call the starter warp or departure warp banner. Me, I call it the beginner banner because this is the banner you get when you start the game, and they'll give you a free 5-star to help out your account. But with this banner, it's a little bit different. You actually have to meet a requirement, and that requirement is you have to be able to summon 300 times in order to be able to pull one of these 5-star units, and you'll be able to select exactly which one you want, which sounds great and all, but the 300 number is kind of steep. But this is something that you will be able to do as you progress further throughout the game, and eventually you will get to that 300 mark, right? Now the 300 pulls need to be done on the standard banner as well, so that's another thing to keep in mind. Now I would advise for you guys to use the regular star rail passes, which is the ticket color is silver, for you to be able to summon on the standard banner, which looks like this. Do not use your premium currency, which is your stellar jade, which is equivalent to like your primo gems in Genshin Impact, or your premium currency in any other gacha game. I wouldn't advise using your currency on the standard banner because you want to use those on the limited banners. So whenever you have these silver tickets, go ahead and throw them into this, and eventually you will get to this 300 marker right here. And once you reach this 300 marker, guys, you'll be able to summon the character that you want. So let's go ahead and get right into the characters. Now all these characters do different things and are all good in all different sorts of scenarios, so it's really hard to match them one to one, right? Because they're so different. But there's some that excel a little bit more than others. But at the end of the day, I would say pick who you would like to have the most, who you think you'd enjoy the most, and who you think you'd have the most fun with. Go ahead and do that. I'm not by no means necessary. I'm telling you, go ahead and pick whatever characters I'm gonna go over here in this video. I just want to give you guys more information on these characters to give you a better understanding of what they do and their kits and stuff like that, and what you should expect from these characters. But with that being said, let's go ahead and start. Now the first character I want to go over is Welts, guys. He is a 5-star imaginary unit, and he is amazing, right? He is gonna definitely be one of the characters that I definitely highly recommend for you guys to pull, because he is a turn manipulator, right? And what that means is, if you guys are new to the turn-based genre, right here, this is called the turn meter or turn gauge or action bar. I think they call it action bar in Honkai Star Rail. Whoever's at the top gets to go next, and whoever is at the bottom is at 0%. So as the turns go on, you will slowly climb up this turn gauge bar, and then eventually you will reach the top, and then it's your turn. Now what Welt does with his abilities, well, especially his ultimate, is when he ults, he hits all the enemies on the field, and then he goes ahead and pushes them back. So let's say these enemies were gonna be like very next to attack, right? He uses his ultimate, he's gonna go ahead and delay them and push them back. Over here, when you push someone back, it's called delaying, and when you push someone forward, it's called advancing. And I will definitely get into advancing a little bit later with another one of these characters that really do that really well in this beginner banner. But as far as Welt, he's great because he's going to be delaying the enemies. He's also going to be doing some good damage as well for being a sort of a control of unit, and he's also going to be providing debuffs and slowing down these enemies a lot. And in turn-based games, the speed is determined on how fast you get from point A to point B. So like from all the way down here to up here in the turn meter, he's going to be doing that. And also because he's the imaginary unit, he doesn't also need to rely solely on his ultimate. If they're weak to imaginary and you break them with Welt, he'll go ahead and apply that imprisonment, which is what pushes them back which is what delays them back in the action bar, and also drops their speed even further. Now he's going to pair up really well with Don Hang, because Don Hang is going to be benefiting off of that, because if they have speed down, his ult is going to do even more damage, and Don Hang, you get him free early on in the game. So yeah, Welt is definitely high up there on priority list. Now another highly talked about unit that also is high on the that should be high on the priority for you guys as well is Bronya. Now Bronya is a buffing support, where she's going to be increasing the damage your team can output by a really big amount, right? Because her ultimate increases the attack your allies can do, and she's also going to increase the crit damage she's going to do. Not crit rate, but crit damage. So you'll still have to build with crit rate in mind, but still, because she's doing that, she's going to increase the damage by a lot, and it's all your teammates as well. Another key thing about Bronya is, remember that I told you about advancing, pushing units up towards getting a turn, and that's what she can do with her E ability, which costs 1 skill point. And what that does is she can actually get one of her allies, get them to go ahead and select them and get them to go ahead and take that turn and put advance them by 100%. Now they will take a turn, and this actually won't count as their original turn. So if they're here in the middle of the turn gauge, she's gonna go ahead and advance them and push them up here. They'll take a turn, and then they'll just go back to where they were. Just think of it as an extra bonus turn that she gives them, and then once they're done taking the turn, they'll go back. Now she is gonna be excelling in that, and also with her E ability, she will be dispelling and cleansing your units if they have any sorts of crowd controls or any bleeds or anything of that nature. She'll go ahead and cleanse that off of them, and I believe it's just 1, right? She's actually really good because of those things, and she pushes herself a lot in the turn meter as well, because her passive helps her push herself up even further, and she does decent damage because she gets 100% crit rate on her basic attacks whenever you unlock one of her talents. And also, I forgot to mention, in her ultimate, she increases their crit damage, but also increases their crit damage even more by extra, depending on how much crit damage Bronya has. So you're gonna go ahead and build her with a lot of crit damage, and she's gonna do decent damage with her basic attack, because she's gonna have 100% crit rate on her basic attack because of the talent that you're gonna unlock for her. And obviously you guys can see she's gonna pair out well with any unit, but she's definitely, her prime unit that she's gonna be doing the best with, honestly, is gonna be Seele right here. As you guys can see, she's gonna be our first limited banner unit. But of course, if you're not lucky enough to pull her, or if you're gonna skip her, like I said, guys, don't stress it. She's still gonna be good with any damage unit in general, because just being able to advance the unit to 100% is gonna be amazing, and is going to be great for any DPS units, so they can go ahead and do damage, and it's also going to boost their attack. I also forgot to mention that too. But yeah, Bronya is going to be good, honestly, with any damage dealer, so don't feel pressured if you don't have Seele or anything like that. Just letting you guys know, Bronya, also another top tier unit that you guys should prioritize. And then another unit that you guys should probably keep on your priority list is young Shing. Now he is a 5-star ice single target damage dealing unit, and he is basically just gonna be doing a bunch of damage, and that's all he really does, is just does a bunch of single target damage. And he also provides freeze depending if his passive procs, because if he procs his passive, there's he'll be able to freeze a single target enemy, which is great. Having a unit that does as much damage as he does, and being able to crowd control an enemy while doing that much damage is just amazing, right? So yeah, what he's gonna do basically with his skill is that he's gonna increase his crit rate automatically and make himself less likely to attack. And remember, these units, you build them as glass cannons so they can hit as hard as they can, and later on in the game they will get hit pretty hard, because the enemies do hit harder later in the game. But yeah, he's gonna be tearing through things, guys, and he's gonna be giving himself crit rate boost and crit damage boost. Same with his ultimate, right? So you don't really have to focus on building so much crit on him. You can go straight for crit damage, and he's just gonna be, you know, doing a bunch of damage. You know, pair this with any unit that gives him even more attack or more crit damage, he's gonna do a lot of damage. And this is gonna be probably one of the units that I'm gonna be prioritizing, honestly. It all depends on how my gameplay rolls out and who I get, right? So yeah, he's definitely gonna be one of the units that I'm gonna be looking at the most, just because I find his playstyle so entertaining, and I really like the unit a lot, and I really like his kit. he is going to do great damage, and it's going to be one of the top damage dealing units in the game. Now the next unit we have here is Beidou. She is a 5-star lightning unit, and she is a healer, right guys? So the good thing about this unit, first and foremost, I just want to get it out the way, the thing that stands out the most for her is the fact that she has a resurrect on her passive. If one of your allies fall, she'll go ahead and res that ally and resurrect them and bring them to like 20%, 35% HP, and they'll get a second wind, right? They'll get a second chance, and you can have them be part of the battle even more. And then you can, on top of that, heal them with her ultimate, and then she's gonna heal the whole team because it's an AoE heal. And then she's gonna apply this buff called Invigorate. Now this buff is very unique. If your allies get hit while they have this buff on, they'll go ahead and heal, which is really nice. You don't really have to worry about healing them or whatever. You can save your skill points for something else if you need it, because you already know they have that Invigorate buff, and they'll be pretty safe with that. Now the Invigorate buff is also really good because there is no turn counter on it. Your allies need to get hit in order for that buff to go away, so that's also a nice thing. But Beidou, I think she is the best healer in the game. We don't have too many healers, but as healers come out and stuff, I think we will get some better healers, but she does a great job. And for a healer, guys, if you are prioritizing to get like a healer and you're the healer type that really likes healers, I would say prioritize her, because she is definitely going to be the best healer we do have here in this game. And her E ability is a heal that heals a single target, and it bounces around and heals your allies as it bounces around. So Beidou, I wouldn't say she's on the upper echelon of the prioritization list for you guys, like the first three that I went over, but she's definitely still up there. And if honestly, she can be up there because she is considered the top healer in the game right now. So yeah, I guess I would say that if for a healer, but the first three I see having more value than Beidou, but Beidou is still very good overall either way. Then we got Himiko. Himiko is a great AoE unit, honestly, that focuses on taking out swarms of enemy, and the more swarms she takes out, the more energy she gets, which gives her the ability more to be able to do her ult even more, which is awesome, right? We love those units that we can use to farm up those stages even faster, and that's what she excels in. She also does good damage as well, so keep that in mind as well. She is a AoE damage dealer, and she is a fire unit as well, 5-star. And yeah, that's basically it about her kit. And if she breaks them, or one of your allies break the units, she's gonna go ahead and send out this little robot that does extra AoE damage. So that's all she really does, is a bunch of AoE damage, and does good damage and does good at it. Now the thing about her is you want to make sure that you take those enemies out with her ultimate, so she can go ahead and get that energy, because that's mainly the thing about her in her kit, is that you want to be able to get as much energy as you can so you can keep spamming her ult. But yeah, if you're looking for an AoE fired AoE damage dealer, Himiko is going to be the best we have in the game right now when we start. But I wouldn't say she's the biggest priority. She's definitely on the lower end of the priority list. But yeah, that's what I think about Himiko. I just think she's a great AoE damage dealer, and the other units definitely hold a lot more weight and value. But she still holds her own, and still, like I said, does great what she does. Then next we got Japard. Japard is going to be a 5-star ice unit that specializes in tanking and shielding your units. So his ultimate, like I said, is gonna drop a big shield on your units, and it's gonna be great because it's gonna protect them, especially later on in the end game, when enemies are gonna be hitting like trucks. He's gonna be defending your units, and it's gonna come in clutch. His passive, he has something where if he goes down, he's gonna resurrect himself, which is good because he's gonna be bringing attention to himself because of one of his talents. It's not exactly a taunt, but it just makes him more likely to get attacked, so that's good. It's not as good as a taunt, but it's still something, right? So you're gonna want to build him off defense because he scales off defense with his shields and stuff. And he also applies a single target freeze, which is gonna be very good and come in handy, just because freezing is gonna, it's just as good as stun, makes the enemy lose their turn. So that's actually very good and a lot more valuable than people think. So yeah, Japard is gonna be great unit, like I said, great defensive unit. Not the highest in the highest priority tier list, like I said, but definitely one that you could consider if you think that is someone that you'll need to help you out, to make your runs a little bit easier with his shielding ability and being able to bring attention to himself. So yeah, Japard is going to be a great addition to definitely, especially when you get to the end game, and when you get to this when you're going to be able to pull from the selector anyways. It's probably going to be end game for you because you got to do 300 pulls, remember. So yeah, you can make that determination yourself. And last but not least, we got Clara, which is a 5-star physical damage dealing unit. Now she specializes in basically countering with her little robot Svarog there, and every time he counters someone, he marks them, and then when they're marked and you use your E, which was that right there, your skill, it costs 1 skill point and she'll do extra damage. Now her ultimate is really good because whenever she does put this up, it's going to go ahead and give her a damage reduction, and then if your allies get attacked, the Svarog is going to go ahead and attack them. They don't just need to attack her in order for her to proc her counter. Now the enhanced basic attack that Svarog gets, her robot gets, it will be only good for 2 turns. So there's that, but when he does attack, it will do more damage and it will hit adjacent targets of the enemy he's hitting, as you guys can see right there, which is pretty solid. Now she hits pretty hard for being a defensive unit, guys, so don't sleep on that. If you're more of a counter defensive player, maybe Clara might be for someone for you to go for. And again, she's going to be providing that counter ability, but definitely not on the top priority list like the first 3 to 4 units I mentioned early on. But like I said, yeah, she's going to be a good addition to any team. And the counter ability, if you're lacking in physical damage and you need it, maybe she might be someone you might want to pick up just because she provides that. Also with her ultimate, she's going to bring attention to herself just like Japard, but you have to proc the ultimate for her to get that attention. And she does rely on having a March 7 or someone that can bring attention to her for her to get attacked, so she can keep proccing those counters, so you can have the most use of her E. Now another good thing about her E is that it hits everyone on the field. It's not just adjacent targets, which is amazing. So yeah, Clara is really, really good. So overall, guys, if they don't do any buffs or nerfs, which I doubt they'll do, the people I would suggest for you to pull is in the tier of being priority is going to be these 3, which is Welt, Bronya, and Shing. No specific order. I think all these units are really good, especially Welt and Bronya, probably the 2 most important. And then after that, it would definitely be Beidou, and then from there on forward, it would be Japard into Clara and Himiko. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys think and who you guys are thinking about getting when you guys do meet that threshold of 300 on the free 5-star character ticket selector. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. It's your boy Jada. I'm out. Peace.